From where the Bio administration take up office, one of the things them where them be done the point finger against the last government for na corruption. As they say, the last government under Ernest Bai Koroma been very corrupt and they wreck the country economy. This na make them do wetin dem call Government Transition Report (GTT).
Your Excellency, now let me turn to the findings of the report. We found that at the time of assuming office as president on the 4th of April 2018, Sierra Leone was in a state of near financial bankruptcy and facing the worst economic crisis since independence in 1961. We have produced the evidence in this report to support this claim. Your Excellency, we found that at the time you assumed office, the international reputation and credibility of Sierra Leone was battered and at its lowest ebb because of the rampant corruption, gross mismanagement, and leadership failure of the former APC government, making Sierra Leone the most corrupt country in the world and one of the poorest.
The Government Transition Report na in same way so born wetin dem call the Commission of Inquiry. And this na thing where they say then they recover plenty money from the last government. Well, because of all this corruption allegation against the last government, be make the president where we call the caretaker been decide for call on all Sierra Leonean them for let them join hand together and help fight against corruption.
But I want to say this clearly that we have to draw the line on corruption in this country. We have to fight corruption, and it is a fight that we must win, and it is a fight that we must fight together in order to win. I know corruption is going to fight back, but we are on the better side of history. So I encourage all Sierra Leoneans to join me to fight corruption. This is just the beginning.
We start with a situation where the government been talk about, say, they inherit a broken economy. And we all witnessed the pervasive corruption which did not take place in the previous 10 years before the government came. So by promising the people of Sierra Leone a reduction in public waste in prudent financial management, so we decided to check whether 2 years down the line, how the government don't fare on. And that came about from the fact that they don't implement a single treasury account, they don't supposedly centralize revenue mobilization and expenditure in the hands of a single ministry. So which means that all sort of wastage will be happening in government agencies, ministries, and departments but don't reduce.
Well, from February 2020 to now, the African Express don't pull plenty publication on what they call corruption under the Bio administration. This don't cut plenty people their heart and don't draw plenty people their attention to the fight against corruption.
This Africanist press, the revelations, you see the detail of the revelations, then you know what I mean? Wasteful spending of the public funds. Me not even talk about issues of procedure or whatever. Wasteful spending of public funds. This government, they spend so much money on promoting your image that, according to Africanist press, where they not dispute it, nearly 6 billion I don't go for travel, for go no more, for go do PR, for promote themselves. Sometimes I make MCC, they clap for them, World Bank, they clap for them, because they don't do all that promotion, they pay dividends. But look at the realities of the people. So now for talk about corruption, obviously, corruption there on the increase. It on the increase. You remember the irregularities, the way the audit report defend, 2018, 140 something billion. 9 they're not able to account for. The next one, 2019, 170 billion. So definitely we will see a progressive rise in this corruption. But I can always say at the beginning, the government begin to show some signs that they're really genuine about fighting corruption. At the beginning.
From the office of the president, to the office of the first lady, So the office of the chief minister and plenty other office them under the Bio administration, African Express don dey pull plenty things on corruption against them.
And we can notice, in fact, President Maada Bio has been the most highly traveled president in recent times. So how much that don't cost the people of Sierra Leone in terms of public finance? Okay. In the case of the office of the chief minister, as you highlight, the audit service looked for 2019. Our report captures not just 2019, but the entire 2.5 years of the Maada Bio administration. Let's say going to 3 years now, from 2018, August 27, where the accounts where they talk about the begin operating, because there are many things we need to highlight before we talk about procurement in this case. Issues of legality, as you mentioned. So two things occur to me. It's either the audit service was not provided with all of the material of audit, and then you talk about this, the unwillingness of public officials to submit themselves to real scrutiny by the by government auditors or the audit service. Secondly, the failure of public officials to respond to management queries by the audit service. These are all in the audit reports from 2015 to now, or you go back to any other period, or you look at the recent one. These are all reflected there. The evidence, they come from government, their own correspondences and documents. For example, we'll talk about, say, the Minister of Finance wage bill don't increase. We support them by providing the evidence showing, for example, that the Financial Secretary earns more than 86 million leones a month. The Financial Secretary come out after the publication and say, yes, indeed, it earned that salary, but that's a salary inherited. Where we publish, for example, the Office of the First Lady saying that the Office of the First Lady received an illegal budgetary allocation of $3 million, the equivalent of $3 million in less than 3 years. The Office of the First Lady come out, the First Lady come out and say, yes, he received the money, and he begin to justify. So basically, there has never been any of the publications running up to almost a year now by the African Express in which any of these officials deny the authenticity of the publications. What they have been trying to do is to rationalize, or justify their action. And the rationalization either for say this has been how they meter in the case of salaries, they say to APC leper. Okay? But they forgot that they promised a departure from the old ways of doing things.
Well, the caretaker self no less BNO. Himself joined the line as the term within 3 years he decided to come out publicly and begin talk about different things the way they go on in administration and self clear in name under the African Express them publication.
I spend my office to spend money. They're not missing a corruption. If I spend 10 billion, they're not missing a corruption. The most important thing is I follow the procedure for make sure say, oh, my office, we get for us, if my office follow the procedure, forget the money. Where they spend the money, they account for them, and waiting a use of the office or anybody where they say they're accused of corruption, whether they use the money for the purpose for which they say. If all of them, they know because they say the office of the president use 10 billion. For we, because of the money in himself, if he have 10 billion, then at $1 million. But if you go elsewhere, you go see, say, me, if I travel today, not to my responsibility for buy me ticket or for get me plane or for spend. I not get that money sir, for travel that way. So when they say, for instance, the first lady in office spend whatever billions, the other question for be, who side is spending? Now clothes you go buy, now house you go buy, now hotel you go buy. No, it's spending power with picking them at this country.
But under this attempt, it seems also come and point finger on the last government again.
In Japan, where they send a salon delegation this, they not agree for me we enter the hotel because they say we get debt today. And then I mean the first time we had to go there. Now that I inherit. Where everybody don't go inside, me not be still able because I be needful. Ask me with all my delegation, pay for the hotel bill where they be done left there, I don't even know which year.
before me they allow for before then they allow me for enter there.
Come on, this is a joke. This is a joke. You and I, if you ready for Car London today, now when you Car London, now you can find your hotel. That's it, you go sleep. This guy for not booking hotel, but don't tell us say no, we don't accept you now because you still owe it. But how you can lie, then can lie there. Say that when you reach that hotel, then they tell you say no, you last government they owe you.
That's like cash box. One social media commentator will put more inside this particular talk on the Japan trip of the caretaker. The African Express no waste any time. Then go back to the archive and then what they do? Then pull all the list of the visitors them we don't go to Japan and the one them we don't come inside Sierra Leone from Japan. They not tap there. Then same way so go and look into the money business and tell we say caretaker bio the time we even go to Japan it can go boku money. The African Express not tap there. Then go before and talk say this trip where caretaker bio the talk say it go pay debt for the last government in Japan. In CSF can go about $270,000. Let me read this thing for you. Then say President Maada Bio still withdraw about $270,000 from the National Treasury for his 5-day trip to Japan in 2019. $91,601 per diem for himself and $36,587 for his wife, even though they were both traveling together. This is also despite the fact that the logistics and protocol for his visit had been arranged by the host government, that's not Japan. This now the list of the money them where they withdraw. And they show all the list and transaction of the money them where they withdraw. This again don't draw plenty people their attention. Femi School, the leader for the Unity Party, be get a different angle where it take concerning the caretaker in Japan trip. And waiting him as a leader of your party be the expect from the caretaker.
Okay, I want to talk in the common sense. Because let me tell you something. If me a president of Sierra Leone, I get opportunity. You know how far 98.1 they go? That is probably one of the most listened to morning shows in Sierra Leone. Me get that kind of audience there for talk to me people there. I know they can't talk, but that's why I go pay. Okay, that's why I go pay the money you. Not for that way where I go pay. Now you know the excuse way I they can't give you now. Now waiting I go pull where I go Japan, now they tell you. Who's benefit and me come back na salon where I come out Japan, now they tell you. Not all the debts where you go pay. Not all the debts. Honestly, to me, it make it feel like I say, the panel really they look at the big picture. You know, they look at the big picture. They're asking you hard questions. They're asking you questions where the public would like to ask you. And you have an opportunity for talk to me. You they tell you what that's where you go pay. I mean, how simplistic is that? What did you get from Japan? Now you know the question. What in Japan they can do for we? And who stay with the left for work and the one world? They spend money, they bigger. When?
He said we not for disconnect because it clean the image of the country where it can go so.
Okay, well it do so now. It don't clean where it do now. It do so now. Thank you very much. Now that money the way would they take the waka all about. Let us invest it in the children. Let us invest it in our hospitals.
Yeah,
let us not build
investment in the go for.
But where?
Huh? You know,
where? Well, if you are traveling to all these places and you have something tangible to show the Sierra Leonean people, publicize it. Let us appreciate you. Let us bless you. Let us pray for you for long life and well body. Then we begin to say, from where this go Japan, una they see, una they all the benefits will come from Japan. But what I say is this. What we need now is a president who is going to move Sierra Leone's economy, the lives of the Sierra Leoneans forward. If we don't know more the bluff with grants, we don't know more the bluff with bega, we don't know more the bluff with aid, how much longer? Then at that stage, I've been to money, they talk about the Athens of West Africa. Do you know how we got to that image of the Athens of Africa? It was put in the right man in the right job, regardless of where he's from. Putting the
What do you think about all of this? Drop your comments down in the comment section. Feel free for share this.